morning.
Good morning.
I like it, everyone's energetic. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Otis Library here in Norwich, Connecticut, where today we're going to be convening a special session of the United States District Court so that 19 qualified applicants can in short order be naturalized as U.S. citizens. My name is Ethan Enzer, and I represent U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which is an agency of the Department of Homeland Security, nearby to Norwich in Hartford, Connecticut. I'll be acting kind of as your master of ceremony for this morning's proceedings. We have a very special event planned, and I wanted to make mention at the outset that the reason for us to do this oath in a library setting is due in part because this is National Library Week. It should be mentioned as well that the Peer Library Citizenship Collaborative, which is known as PLCC, was formed in 2016 as part of a U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services grant to Hartford Public Library. The partnership is comprised of librarians representing public libraries throughout Connecticut, meeting to share information. They also share resources and best practices, and they do so in order to increase their ability to better serve immigrants in their local communities. There is a further connection between USCIS and the City of Norwich. Our organization has long partnered with the City of Norwich in the ESL and adult education programs. I've been in Connecticut for about 18 or 19 years, and the very first community-based meeting that I participated in was up on the hill with the English language educators, and I found it to be as enlightening for me as a newly arrived, transferred government civil servant coming out of New York into Connecticut. And you can see the great dynamic that exists between the community educators and what they bring to bear in order to qualify persons who are already present in the United States who seek to become citizens or who seek to access educational services that they may not have in their home countries. So that's a little extra sidelight. At this time, I wish to turn the podium over to Mr. Robert Farwell, the Executive Director of the Otis Library, for his welcoming remarks. Mr. Farwell.
Well, thank you all for being here. I'll keep my remarks brief, but I did want to speak directly to those of you who are here to become U.S. citizens. I am the grandson of an immigrant. My wife got her citizenship last year, so I think I know a little bit about what you're feeling and how important this moment is to you. But I also wanted to say that this is an important moment for us as residents of the United States, because out of 195 countries worldwide that you could have selected to move to or become part of, you've chosen the United States, and for that we owe you a debt of gratitude. Whether you're going to reside in Norwich, and I was surprised to find out that you're from all over the state, and I don't think there is anybody from Norwich here, but you know, think about it in the future. You might like to come and live here. It's a nice place. Wherever you live, your community is going to be enriched by your presence. For I firmly believe that in this audience, there are the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the doctors, the scholars, and myriad other invaluable citizens essential to the common weal. And so, in closing, I want to thank you for choosing us, for joining us in this huge, sometimes fractious, but always resilient country, the United States. Welcome, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Farwell. So at this time, I ask that all of us here please rise as we welcome the Honor Guard to present our nation's colors, and they hail from the Norwich Police Department. Please post the colors. Remain standing. I wish to now introduce our musical guests who are here to perform our national anthem. It'll be sung by Mr. Rick Spencer and Miss Dawn Indermutter. Please remain standing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. So in just a few short moments, we will be convening a special session of the United States District Court that will be transforming this library meeting room into really a magical space and a magical place. We've got a number of distinguished guests who are here to offer their congratulatory remarks to the new citizens. And we also have, as mentioned, the United States Department of State Passport Services Agency. I am just wondering, is there anyone here from the Connecticut Register of Voters? Do we have that? League of Women Voters are present.
Yes,
okay.
they are.
Do you know how I can identify them?
There
There they are. Okay, ladies, stand up. Okay. So, good sign. The reason that we mention that is that anyone who becomes a citizen today is qualified and highly encouraged to register to vote with the League of Women Voters, and their voter registration process will be valid statewide. So it doesn't matter that you're in Norwich today. Once you register, you're good to go. So at this time, I'm going to be calling on the designated clerk of the court to open the court proceedings with the Honorable John M. Walker, Jr., United States Circuit Court of Appeals, Second Circuit, New York, presiding. Madam.
All rise. This is a special session of the United States District Court. The Honorable John M. Walker, Jr., United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit presiding. Please be seated.
Welcome to all of you. This is a great day. So I guess the first thing is for me to entertain a motion. Is that correct? All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my name is Officer Camille Fisher. I'm a designated examiner with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services under the Department of Homeland Security. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The Peer Library Citizenship Collaborative was formed in 2016, as you heard Mr. Enzer say, as part of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services grant to the Harper Public Library. The partnership is comprised of librarians representing public libraries throughout Connecticut, meeting to share information, resources, and best practices in order to increase their ability to better serve immigrants in their local communities. This week, we celebrate the accomplishments of this partnership by naturalizing 200 applicants from 45 different countries at our peer partnership libraries, such as this one. This morning, in this room, we have 19 naturalization candidates who have come together to pledge their allegiance to the United States of America. Candidates for naturalization, you are from a very diverse group. Even though there are 19 of you, you actually come from 13 different countries around the globe. In a few moments, you will stand together as one to become citizens of the United States of America. So, as I explained to you previously, I'm now going to call each of your countries one by one. As you hear your country called, please stand and remain standing until all of the countries have been called. Brazil, Cape Verde, People's Republic of China, Colombia, Ecuador, Ghana, Guyana, Haiti, India, Jamaica, Philippines, Poland, and Portugal. At this time, all candidates for naturalization should be standing. Honorable Judge Walker,
Yes.
it is my great pleasure to present these 19 candidates for naturalization. Each has been personally examined under oath by a designated officer. Each has demonstrated an understanding of the English language unless exempt, and knowledge and understanding of the fundamentals of history and principles and the form of government of the United States of America. Each has been found to be a person of good moral character, attached to the principles of the Constitution of the United States of America, and well disposed to the good order and happiness of the United States. The investigations of the government have been completed in their cases, and each has been found to meet all requirements for the laws of naturalization. So, Your Honor, on behalf of the government of the United States, I respectfully recommend that upon taking the oath of allegiance, the name changes be granted and that all applicants be administered as citizens of the United States of America.
Upon taking the oath of allegiance, the motion will be granted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand and say after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law. That I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces.
perform non-combatant services in the armed forces of the United States
of the United States when required by law.
when required by law.
That I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law.
That I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction required by the law.
And that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations to all of you. Please be seated. So, I wanted to be the first person to congratulate you because of the high honor and great privilege of your becoming citizens of the United States of America. I welcome you into the American family and hope that your lives here will be filled with joy and contentment, and that all of your dreams for the future in your new country will come true. You come before this court. This is the District Court for the state of Connecticut. A court that traces its origins to the founding of the Republic of the United States of America, to take an oath to become American citizens. The oath that you have taken is as solemn and as important as the oath that I took when I became a judge. Although you are new citizens, you should not feel in any way that you are any different from your fellow citizens. We're all part of the great tradition of immigration in this wonderful country. Even if most of us were born here, you can be sure that we still carry with us many of the traditions and customs that our ancestors brought with them when they came to these shores. The process of immigration in the United States has been going on for nearly 400 years. That was even before it was the United States, formerly the United States of America, back in colonial times. The process of immigration started. And the process of becoming naturalized citizens started after the passage of the Constitution. And so that's been for more than 200 years. This is a long tradition that you're part of. Much of America's greatness and its spirit is due to the combination of its many different peoples in this country, whose ancestry reaches out to all corners of the globe. And all 19 of you come from 13 different countries, so this is just an example of the situation that occurs throughout this country. First and foremost, ours is a land of liberty. We start with this proposition, that every man, every woman, every boy and girl should be as free as possible to grow, to act, and to pursue his or her dreams. This freedom is limited only by the need of our society to be subject to a lawful order, so that no person or government will interfere with the rights of another person to enjoy his or her freedom, to live the way that person chooses, to act the way that person chooses, and to believe the way that person wants to believe, so that all can enjoy our common liberties together. 230 years ago, a group of very farsighted and brilliant and dedicated men completed the final draft of the document that governs all of us in this great land, the Constitution of the United States. Implicit throughout the Constitution is this idea of ordered liberty, liberty with order. The Constitution determines how our government is to be structured and managed, but beyond that, it sets forth the fundamental rights and freedoms that belong to all citizens, that now belong to you as American citizens. These rights include freedom to speak one's views, even if they're against the government. Freedom of the press, including the right to print or televise all views, whether popular or unpopular. The right to worship according to one's own faith, whatever that may be. The right to be free from unlawful discrimination by the government. The right to be free from unlawful government interference with one's personal property. The right to a fair trial and to be tried by a jury of one's fellow citizens, and the right to vote for the candidates of one's choice. In other words, the right of the people to decide who will represent and lead them in government, and the right to kick them out of office when they fail to do their job. That last one is very important. That does happen. But beyond the written text of the Constitution, with all of its profound meanings, there is in America a spirit of freedom. This spirit does not come automatically, but is achieved by the people, just like you, who strive every day to keep it alive and to make it work. The spirit of freedom does not come from the laws, it comes from the heart. As you go forth, bear in mind perhaps the greatest lesson of citizenship. It's what's commonly called the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. America is a land of opportunity, and you know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone through this process. America is a great land of opportunity, and you'll be free in this country to advance yourself, to get a better job, to have a better home, to educate your family, to go just as far as your desire and abilities will take you. In America, the people rule. The government is the servant of the people, not their master. There are places in this world where that is not so. And I suspect that many of you today may know this from your own experiences. Some of you may have been denied the right to worship God in your own way, or speak your views openly, or to freely elect your leaders. In a word, some of you and your kinfolk may have known the tyranny of the state as an absolute master rather than as a servant of the people. I can tell you that such a condition is entirely foreign to our way of life. But the privileges of citizenship also carry with them great responsibilities. First and foremost among them is to defend our country and our way of life against those who would attack it. In the words of the oath which you have just taken, to defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. A second responsibility you now have is to participate in the democratic process. I've mentioned that you have the right to vote. This right is also a duty of citizenship. There are countries where some of you have come, where there are no elections, or where, when you do vote, you're only permitted to say yes or no. And then, with the fear that the vote against, a vote against those in power will threaten the life or liberty of yourself or your loved ones. In America, there are free elections, where issues are debated, and a person can vote according to one's conscience. And that vote is secret. Nobody knows what you did, except you, and people you choose to tell. And that person's vote can never be made public. I strongly urge you to fulfill your responsibility to vote. You also have an obligation to treat your fellow citizens with tolerance, understanding, and justice, regardless of race, gender, creed, ancestry, sexual orientation, or color. There is no place in this country for prejudice, bigotry, or hatred. And when it rears its ugly head, we do everything we can to eliminate it. America is a land of many peoples who have, for the most part, learned to live within its borders in peace and harmony. You must always respect the rights of others, just as you would want your own rights to be respected. And of course, you must at all times observe and obey the law. We have many fine school systems, as you know, in this country. Great educational institutions of higher learning. You should also feel free to make full use of our schools and universities and the opportunities that they afford yourselves and your children. A democracy can grow and flourish only when its citizens are educated and possess the knowledge and understanding required to fulfill the role of citizen. There is also an obligation upon every American citizen to contribute his just share to the government by way of taxes. That is an unfortunate part of our life, but it's and we have to do it. And also, there is an obligation I think, for people to contribute by way of service to the country or just to the community. But by contributing to the community, you're contributing to the country. There are many opportunities for citizens to serve in their community in educational, charitable, civic activities that have as their purpose elevation and benefit of all citizens. There's great value to assisting those who are less fortunate than you. These responsibilities of citizenship are demanding, and they must be lived from day to day. And that way, the spirit of liberty, that is the essence of America, will be kept alive. What it means to be an American is not something that one just talks about on important occasions such as this, or on national holidays, and then forgets about it for the rest of the year. It's part of the fabric of our daily life. As I've had a chance to look upon you, I'm deeply impressed that you fully appreciate the great step that you've taken, and that you are accepting your United States citizenship with all of its privileges and responsibilities as a badge of honor, to be worn with pride and dignity. In this spirit, may you go forward as citizens of this country, and I wish each and every one of you the very best of success and happiness in the days and the years to come. Thank you.
Now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
We have Jody Lefkowitz,
Please stand.
Director of Norwich Adult Education.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple of distinguished guests who are going to offer their congratulatory remarks to our new citizens and their families. It's my privilege and honor to introduce to you Senator Kathy Poston, State Senator of Connecticut. Senator Poston.
Thank you. So I'm not certain if the court has to recess first, because that's on here. Would the court recess? It is.
All rise. This special session of the United States District Court is now in recess. Please be seated.
I didn't want you to have to take notes on the whole thing, so. He already has his written comments, and you can take his from there. I'm really honored to be here today to recognize all of you. I think that it's always wonderful for us to have that next wave of new citizens come in. It is that diversity that's necessary for us to grow as a country. It's that diversity that ever fills our new jobs and our entrepreneurship. It's that diversity that provides us with that welcoming mode that we need to be in each and every day. And I see that many of you here today have brought the next generation of citizens, as I see the young people that sit out amongst here, which I'm certain are your children or grandchildren and relatives, and I think that's wonderful, because we need always to refresh who is here as new citizens. I'm going to ask you to also consider Norwich as your place of residence. I think it's one of the best cities in the state of Connecticut. I obviously represent Norwich, but I probably represent many of the towns that you live in. I represent the towns of Marlborough and Hebron, Lebanon and Columbia, and Sprague, Franklin, Norwich, Lisbon, Ledyard, and Montville also. And I am always heartened to see people want to live in this country. I was in the Army back a lot of years ago, and I got to see other countries, and I knew then that that was the single best decision that I made in my life, because it showed me how great this country is. Our ability to speak out against our leaders elect them or unelect them, as the judge has said, our abilities to recognize what is great and to move things forward. It's important for us to have you here. You are a gift to this country, and we welcome you, and we look forward to working with you. But I have a challenge of my own for you. I challenge you to be a part of this country and run for political office. It's important that we recognize what your needs are. And the way to recognize that is for you to participate in our democracy. That means, in your own respective towns, run for political office. Be a part of that community, beyond your planning and zoning committees, or recreation committee, or board of selectmen. Run for statewide offices. Run for state representative. Run for state senator. It's important for us to recognize the needs of the citizenry, and the only way to do that is to have you be a part of that system. I always challenge every youth group I go to know that they are important to us and to have them come into the government. The government is for the people and by the people. And the people are an important piece for us to be a part of this. I ask that you go out and vote at every single time that you have an opportunity to vote. Whether it's for a budget, or it's for a referendum, or it's for an idea, or it's for an elected person to represent you. Remember, I'm not here to represent me. The judge is correct. I am here to represent the needs of the people, not my needs. So I would ask that you remember that. Anytime when you can, when you see the League of Women Voters here and you register, vote always. Vote for every single time that you have an opportunity. You get to choose what you represent. The judge also talked a little bit about taxes, how those are spent, are done in voting. You get to choose how much money is spent on education, and how much money is spent on roads, and how much money is spent to support businesses. That is important for you to do. So I encourage you to run for political office. Consider it. Bring back those new businesses that we need in this country. Be that entrepreneur, start that new business. Please, thank you so much for choosing our great country as a place to live and work in. We thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Poston. I wish now to introduce to you Mr. Leo Butler, who is the Diversity Director of the Norwich Free Academy, for his congratulatory remarks. Mr.
I just want to again congratulate all of our newest citizens, and particularly families that are in the audience. I see two of my former students that are seated in the back here for a very happy day. And yeah, I'm going to run for office. I have to start waiting for a little bit. I'm blessed with my position at Norwich Free Academy, our high school here in the city of Norwich, to welcome every year students who are arriving from various countries in this world. My task, along with others in our school, is to not only welcome our newest students, but to support, to instruct, and to teach our students. And some of the lessons that we talk about, and I'm sure I'm going to repeat them even for the older folks here, is that we want you to be the best possible people you can be. We want you to embrace our new country. At the same time, that we do not want you to forget who you are and where you came from. Because you see, it's that lesson that enriches our country. It's that lesson that allows us to be a diverse country that we are. We encourage all of our people, young or old, to make a commitment to make your community a better one. To participate in the affairs of the city or state that you reside in. To participate in the electoral process every 4 years for our presidency. We ask that you assist others like yourselves who are struggling to attain citizenship. Reach back and help those who are where you once were. You can now take your place along other citizens in this country. You can prove to others that you have much to contribute. And despite some of the talk that we hear sometimes in today's world, we welcome what you bring to the table. Your diversity is what makes, again, America who we are. But I encourage you again to be the best possible role model of what it means to be a good citizen. The title itself means nothing if you do not live out the words that were echoed this morning in this room. The word citizen can ring hollow if you simply leave this room, put your certificate somewhere where you now see it, and go back to just being who you are. Today is a new day for you. Today is a renewal. Today is a day that you begin fresh. And so I ask all of you again to celebrate today. We'll give you 24 hours to celebrate. But tomorrow morning, roll up your sleeves and begin the hard work that it takes to be a good citizen. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. So at this time, I'm going to ask our distinguished guests here to my right to please stand as we begin the process to call forward each of our new citizens, one by one, from Officer Fisher, who will announce your names. And you may receive your certificate of naturalization from our distinguished judge and be congratulated by our guests. So, Ms. Fisher.
So, here we have in the first two rows, the newest United States citizens in the state of Connecticut. Just would like to give you another round of applause before Right now I'm going to call each of your names one by one. I'm going to ask that you just come on up and get your certificate from the judge and proceed on down the line. Folks, if you'd like to take pictures, please do so. Marek Stanislav, Poland.
This way. They all want to shake your
We
hand.
all want to shake your hand, sir.
There you go, congratulations.
Welcome, citizens. Thank you.
Marian Zygmunt Rua, Poland.
Congratulations.
Danusa Andrea Gabel, Brazil.
Congratulations.
Himani Marjan, India.
Congratulations.
Sanjeev Pawari, India.
Congratulations.
Maria Lourdes Cabral, Portugal.
Congratulations.
Anne-Marie Ritchie, Jamaica.
Congratulations, Emery.
Congratulations.
Gail Patricia Washington, Guyana.
Congratulations.
Antonio Agnello Correa, Cape Verde.
Congratulations.
Maria Rosette Tropnas, Haiti. Maria Eugenia Noguera, Colombia. Honora Torshi Toto, Ghana.
Congratulations.
Divyanjali Gopalan, India. Abhilash Shagadish, India. Melanie Sison McCoy, Philippines. Christine Delphin Abraham, Philippines. And Ajaz Mohammed Khan, India. Ladies and gentlemen, just another round of applause for the newest United States
Thank you all. Please be seated. So it's now my pleasure to introduce once again our musical guests who are going to perform God Bless America. Again, Rick Spencer and Dawn Indermuda.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
So I'd like to call to the podium one of our hosts for this morning's very exciting and successful special oath ceremony, Mr. Bassem Gayed, who is the Multicultural Services Coordinator here at the Otis Library.
Thank you. 11 years ago, I moved from Egypt to Norwich, Connecticut. And I always loved libraries, so I walk around here, got a library card, found some books to update my resume, to find a job, and everyone was so nice to me here. So I love this place. I said, maybe I can get a job here. After all, I worked a couple of years at a library in Egypt. So after a few attempts, I was able to get here, Mr. Farwell, and his door was open. Again, in a conversation, interview, whatever you want to call it, for like half an hour, 45 minutes, I got to know this wonderful man and to hear about the libraries and things we can do, and he looked at my resume and everything. And at the end of the time we had together, I said, so I got a job here? He said, no. I said, I'm sorry, but we don't have an openings now, but you can try again. So I kept on calling him, and I kept every time I come to the library, say, hey, remember me? I'm Bassem. And then I think one day he got tired. said, all right, you're hired. You're gonna work Fridays from 1 to 4. So I said, and he said, your work schedule is 3 hours a week. Oh, it's great, it's great. I was happy. Was a few months later, I worked here, and through learning a lot of things with other librarians here, I was able to become a full-time at Otis Library. I'm so grateful for this place because years later, after I was working here, after I got not to be just a patron, but also someone who was offered a job here, which is a huge thing for me as a new immigrant at the time. I was able to find in this place study materials to apply for my citizenship. So through here, again, through a U.S. citizen like you, I want to congratulate you all for your citizenship today. We're going to be finishing in a few minutes. After you finish, please stay and go straight ahead. You're going to find a lot of tables, a table for legal permanent voters to drop your application. If you have your passport application ready, it'll be another table. If you'd like to know about the library services, find another table. But the most important table is the one that has the cake. Thank you.
So there's a guy who gets it. Very persistent. And I'm moved by what you said, really. You know, anything is possible in the United States once you have a foothold, status is legal, follow the process, learn, assimilate, acculturate, be a citizen. It's a great gift. I'm moved every time that I come to support DHS at one of these ceremonies. I've been doing it a long time. There is no better feeling for the immigration services officers and our staff than to complete the process with all of you in the community. Typically, these oaths are done in a courtroom environment. And while they are very stately and regal and very legal, there is something to be said for when the courtroom experience can be brought out into the open and into the community. And today concludes the last of, I believe, 7 special library ceremonies that our office has facilitated in the last week. It's been quite a ride. I'd like to thank Ms. Erica Taylor, our Community Resources Officer, for making it all possible for us. Let's give her a big round of applause. I'd also like to thank our distinguished guests who have come to offer their congratulatory remarks. I am a constituent of Senator Kathy Poston. My home is in Hebron, and I'm very proud to call her my state senator, as well as when we have a chance to meet with Leo. Mr. Butler has supported us on a number of occasions for outreach, educational services, and the like, and we're very fortunate to have him as well. So that concludes our special oath ceremony this morning. I'd like to say once again thank you and congratulations to all the new citizens, and have a great afternoon.
I'm able to get to them, then that's what's important.